we move on to our second speaker, Professor Edwin Aldrian. Time is yours, Prof. 20 minutes.
Can I use my screen to share? Okay, this is my screen. Okay, everybody, can I start now? You might start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You may start.
Okay. My name is Edwin Aldrian. I'm working in the BPPT as a professor of meteorology and climatology. I also work for IPCC as IPCC Working Group and Vice Chair. I will look at the long-term objective of Paris Agreement and the climate science perspective. Okay, what is IPCC as I'm joining now? It is an international specialized body under United Nations which deal with climate change science. So established 79, and also it established the establishment of the UNFCCC. It's under the endorsement of World Meteorological Organization and UN Environment Program. So major product is a assessment report. The first assessment report goes to establishment of the UNFCCC. The second assessment report goes to the Kyoto Protocol, and the fourth assessment report has received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. And fifth assessment report led to the Paris Agreement. So this is the story of the. So there are 34 members of the bureau. I'm also part of that. This is me and as representing the country in the Southwest Pacific and Southeast Asia. And then I'm in the second Indonesian to be in this matter. So I also here introduce expert of Indonesia working on the IPCC in this cycle. The first one is like this one is Dwi Susanto working in the Maryland in the United States. And then some people are from the Sumatra, Java, also Borneo and Celebes also work for the IPCC under current stand. So as noted by the United Nations that we try to deliver all service into one language. Right now, the UN try to accommodate everything in the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG. And part of that, climate change is number 13 goals. So we, in this report, we try to suffice the needs of all other Sustainable Development Goals. So as already explained before, so the Kyoto Protocol also already adopted in 1907, and the main target is the world go back to the 1990 emission. So there are country divided into Annex 1 world and then non-Annex 1, and also as already explained that US didn't sign the protocol and function as observer, can also give opinion on something like that. For the Paris Agreement, it's established in 2015. So unlike the Kyoto Protocol, which is established by legally binding emission target, so for Paris Agreement, not only for the responsible country, but also everyone, rich, poor, developed, and developing country, they must do their part. So the aim is right now is for simplicity, is try to reach balance in emission for everybody in 2050. So 2050, everybody can have a balance in their calculation. So this is the main difference in Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement. We're not aiming for a specific date, and also aiming to balance carbon economy in 2050. So it is decarbonation of global economic activity. So it will take place under the measure of we 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 make the global stocktake. Global stocktake is the periodic measurement, because every country has done the voluntary uh, voluntary uh, voluntary emission reduction, and also through the MRV, measurable, reportable, and verifiable. So it is intentional, determined national contribution under the UNFCCC national communication. Each country can establish how many mitigation they want to achieve. It is also national inventory registry, and then we're doing so with the IPCC emission factor. Therefore, working group in IPCC to reach that. So for perspective of Indonesian economy, it is say in that Indonesian economy will reach number 4 with 10,000 trillion dollar, and then in 2050 the world population may reach 9.8 billion people. Now is 7.8. So Indonesia expected to have 366 million people. We try to develop new green technology to ensure long-term global growth, which is environmentally sustainable. So in 2050, we try to reach a balanced status. The global stocktake try to monitor by UNFCCC and then by IPCC, because IPCC monitor this global stocktake by looking at the current emission factor and the global temperature. And then the global stocktake will take place firstly in the 2030, 3 years from now, and then will after that it will start every 5 years with the MRV system, measurable, reportable, and verifiable. It is possible that we'll reach overshoot, because this is very short period. Everybody will likely to start in 2030. We hopefully reach temperature below 2 degree and possibly 1.5 degree. This is a very important note that the current international voluntary emission target, that INDC, National Determined Contribution, only contribute 1/3 of the common goal to the reach 1.5 degree target. So we have to move harder and harder for everyone to contribute voluntarily. So we have to plan that we need to take action beyond 2030. It's something that is this may be the simple emission story, that on the left is southern hemisphere, on the right is northern hemisphere. Usually the northern hemisphere take away the higher emission target. This is CO2 concentration. The world now has more than 30 places to measure this greenhouse gas concentration. So you can see here, I think you can see the history of global greenhouse gases in the internet, and you find this place. Okay, I will skip this. I'm sorry, I have to skip this. Oops. Okay, then for UNFCCC and the IPCC goal, sorry. So what is with the action that we make for the water sector? For example, there are some problem with water sector. First one is unequal water distribution, shortage of short and not during dry season, extreme weather and climate event, and capacity to recycle water to water storage. This is happen everywhere. This is a story. For example, I'm liking the heat spell in the Indian subcontinent. Temperature could reach 50 degrees Celsius in northern India, and then the problem with climate and food. I think this is more even problematic. because arable land availability, desertification, and land degradation and land use change. The problem in Indonesia is land use change. IPCC now just finished last year this kind of report of land problem of the climate change. Food energy crisis, plant tree, you plant tree for food or energy. This is problem with Indonesia right now. You plant palm oil, it is for food or for energy. We question that. And then sustainability of food production, how to feed large population, enough water, waste capacity, and for equality. This is some example of news. China spent 30, 60,000 soldiers to plant trees, and also we can see that this is happening in Thailand, also the same story, and also this is Pakistan plant over 1 billion trees. We don't see Indonesia putting their army to plant trees right now, but I think it's the movement is almost everywhere. Now the climate and energy sector. This is a problem with energy security. You need to exit strategy for fossil fuel. I think everybody in problem right now to replace fossil fuel some other renewable energy, ocean and renewable energy development, clean and renewable energy, and also transforming energy for industry and transportation sector. This is a big challenge to everyone because want to put more car in the transportation sector, but in other mean that they have to change into fossil fuel. You can see that in news that some city in Europe they try to, in some country they want to get rid of fossil fuel car. This is I think this is a big problem for climate, and also increasing city and country are burning fossil fuel, burning for car. I see that Copenhagen is one of the city, and other city starting to follow up the situation, and then they don't want to have a burning fossil fuel car in the big city or in the inner city. Country around the world are racing to phase out gasoline and diesel car. This is a big problem in the world right now. Look at this. Germany to shutter all 84 coal plant to fight climate change. This is happening everywhere. And many countries in the Europe also want to shut down coal energy plant to fight climate change. Okay, last problem is climate change and environment. This is an environment problem. Like Indonesia, we have problem with peatland and other carbon storage problem, such as palm oil, and then forest fire and other black carbon problem, and so to increase replantation, as I already shown before in the news. Okay, let's move to the report. The IPCC has produced a report in 2018, understanding the global warming 1.5 degree. So now we already see the consequence of global warming. So at the current rate, it will be 1.5 in between. If it is good, manageable, I think between 2030 until we're doing nothing, it is 2052. And the past emission does not follow what we already now contribute. So because the long-term emission of is causing the problem. So if you understand that climate change potential event projection, right now there's if you compare the 1.5 into 2 degree increase, the less extreme weather will take place, and people can live in by 2100 that the global sea level rise can be 10 centimeter lower if you have 1.5 degree rather than 2 degree, and less than 10 billion people will migrate if their life is risking by 2 degree if they compare to 1.5 degree. So less impact in biodiversity and species. Right now, IPCC working with IPBES to make a special report on this issue. Smaller reduction of yield maize rice harvest. I don't know about situation in Indonesia. The global population exposed to increased water shortage up to 50% or less if you have 1.5 degree to compare to 2 degree. So lower the fish catch, and then up to several hundred people exposed to modern climate-related risk and susceptibility to poverty by 2050. So this is for greenhouse gas emission pathway. So if you limit compared to 2 degree, you have to limit. Oh, sorry, you have to limit reduction of emission will have immediate health benefit. This is already first speaker already talked about that. Also, limiting 1.5 degree would require change at unprecedented scale. You have to do, not you, I think the whole globe of the whole community of the world. You have to do deep cut emission in our sector, and also you have to make choice of range of technology, whether fossil fuel or whether some other clean energy something else. You have to do behavioral change. I think instead of choosing big car, if you drive alone, you choosing a small car, and then recycle, reduce, and reuse. Also, you must increase investment in low carbon option. This is some of the IPCC suggestion for this. Okay, progress in renewable energy. Because renewable energy is a fast progress forward, so it will be mirror to other sectors. So we would start taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This is big issue right now, to start taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, not to adding more, but we take more carbon dioxide. So implication for food sector, ecosystem, and biodiversity. So I will give some example later on. So the pledges or the national contribution is not enough. I said before, it is you require 3 times, because what you already say is only 1/3 of the required one. Avoiding warming is more than 1.5 will require substantive decline before 2030. So what happened to people, because all the UN report must have something to do with sustainable development goals, and then measure the adaptation, and then national and subnational, like first speaker also say, not only government but civil society and so on like that. So we need international cooperation, because the victim is everyone, everybody vulnerable, everyone is victim. So we need an international cooperation as a critical part of limiting warming to 1.5 degree. So IPCC in this report, IPCC 1.5 degree, has already give option, 4 options to reduce up to 2050. This is starting in the 2030 until 2050. We try to reach emission mitigation option. So based on this is very simple. You make reduction of fossil fuel, and then you make control of the AFOLU, it is land use change, and then the yellow one is this is bioenergy and carbon capture and storage. You only control these 3 things, and then you will have several options for the development. This is option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. This is some of the calculation. I think this is too small to see the font here, but I think in this case IPCC has the temperature emission, energy system target, and carbon dioxide emission and agriculture sector. Here, good news. This is MIT engineer. Just recently, they already say that they already find a new battery that works by removing carbon dioxide straight from the air. This is good news. I think something like this, the technology that remove carbon dioxide from air, we need more technology like this in the future. And this technology also gives you energy. This is a battery technology. And this is also airplane that fly by electricity, by battery. I think now I heard that Israeli they have a small medium airplane to up to 9 people, 9 passenger can use a battery like this. So I think it's good news. So for the relationship between energy supply and energy demand with the SDG, this is SDG 1 to 8. You can see that there's a option what happened with the, if we take option like that, this is also from land use, energy supply, energy demand, and land use. For the this one is for the next sustainable development goal up to development goal number 17, except number 13 because 13 is climate itself. So for Indonesia prospect in energy beyond 2050, my suggestion is that right now we are must rely on renewable except for bioenergy. Right now we rely on the bioenergy, like 100%. You can make gasoline from the palm oil and so on. For IPCC report, we say that the bioenergy is only intermediary report, intermediary solution. We need more renewable energy. I think for case of Indonesia, we must rely on the geothermal and ocean technology for ocean engineering for energy. So geothermal, because Indonesia has a lot of many volcano everywhere in the land area in the ocean. So I think the last one, this is my news. I make article, this in Kompas 30 October 2018. This is give you as a report of IPCC report 1.5. I already make article in Kompas for this one. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I will stop here. I think you can continue. I think we can discuss more about this. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Edwin. So a little bit of what, little bit to summarize what Edwin has talked about recently. So the IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, specialist body from the United Nations on climate change, whose major products include assessments and studies that has led to major agreements such as the Kyoto and Paris agreements that we're discussing tonight. One of the key things that Prof. Edwin mentioned tonight is the importance of having a measurable, reliable, and verifiable goals when it comes to dealing with climate change, where the aim is to achieve balanced status by 2050, and some countries and everyone needs to take action beyond 2030. Prof. Edwin also talked about how some cities in many different parts of the world has different plans to ditch fossil fuel cars. Some countries are rushing to ditch coal and fossil fuel based plans, for example, and talked about the importance of international cooperation in dealing with climate crisis. Prof. Edwin also mentioned 4 pathways or options with differences in scenarios in controlling fossil fuels, land use changes, etc. And at last, I think Prof. Edwin mentioned that for Indonesia, I think the focus should be on geothermal and ocean energy that we're in abundance of. We will move on to the Q&A session, but before that, I'd like to use my moderator privilege and ask the first question, if I may. To the panelists, Prof. Budi or Prof. Edwin. One of the many points of contention when discussing climate policy or climate action is nuclear energy. And I don't think that's been talked about today. Proponents maintain it's the most efficient green technology available right now, and with new development, risks should be well mitigated. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on nuclear energy as a greener source of energy going forward. Maybe Prof. Edwin first.
Yes, thank you very much. My opinion on nuclear energy, I think the current technology is the fuel cell. It is very rapid and easily accessible. So people like this energy rather than energy that bring. So the problem with energy is it is not portable enough. So if you want to have energy with a small car and so on, you need a portable and lighter. So basically, you need energy to be last longer. So basically, what you want is something like a nuclear super reactor. This is this is the this is the what is it? The contrast of this theory. You want something really like this thing, but you don't like this thing, the nuclear power. Unless you have power to control it right, you don't have any more question. So what happened with the last one with Fukushima really teach us, because Fukushima is something that people really control and really safe. So right now, nuclear is many abundant in Europe country. But what you need is like right now is fusion and fission at the cold temperature. It is like a nuclear itself. So you want something very small, but something very big in power. Or maybe you need something perpetual, that means can last longer. So as it is a perpetual, it is like a self combined, like self producing energy. It is like nuclear power. So you dream something like nuclear power, but I think the problem is you want to control it. I think this is a basic problem with the energy. You know that there is a energy, it's like hydrogen power. Hydrogen power is something like fission and fission. So by the end, I will say that let be it. I mean, if you can control nuclear energy, if you can control, like you put in a place, somewhere place in Indonesia. First one is in Jepara. I think I was in this location to study, and then after that in Kalimantan, and then in Bangka Belitung. If you find a place to run the nuclear power safely, and then you can, I think you can put the waste into some other location. Maybe you can dig 3 kilometer, 10 kilometer, which is safe for the earthquake and so on. I think what else you can complain about? I think you depend on technology. Everything is depend on technology. I think you may fail somehow in the future. But if we say that nuclear power is no emission, it is also not correct. If someone asks here, the battery technology is not free from pollution. Of course, when you harvest or when you explore the nickel, cadmium, and so on like that, you will give pollution to the environment. So nothing is free for pollution. But if you can control it under your control, I think let's go for it. I think that is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. We move on to questions from the attendees. I think this one can be addressed to Prof. Budi. This is from Marsha Magvira. From what I understand, climate change can be mitigated, but it can never stop. Do you think building resilience to the society by implementing climate change adaptation is equally crucial with the mitigation itself? I believe preparing the future generation to face the unavoidable impact of climate change is critically important. However, this doesn't seem like a popular opinion among decision makers. Prof. Budi, yeah.
Yeah, of course, building resilience is important, but the idea of that we cannot stabilize the global temperature is a bit too pessimistic, a bit too pessimistic. So certainly we need to balance between adaptation and mitigation. Nationally, we need to keep thinking about how to make good progress and in mitigating climate change. However, a lot of local effort should be conducted in helping people to adapt with all these change. Um, and I guess I understand why this question raised, because most of the time when we talk about climate change, it's about mitigation. And for a country like Indonesia, it's actually important to boost more the issue on helping people to adapt with the change. Well, there are reasons for that, because everybody at the moment, all countries are having an argument that you need to contribute on reducing this emission. But nationally, certainly we need to put also important to put adaptation in among the top priority as well. So, but I agree that pushing toward having a strong program in adaptation is still far. Yeah. So, for example, in economics, we probably should start thinking about insurance as a mechanism to softening up all this impact, and research or work on insurance for natural disaster is relatively weak. So yeah, I agree, and I do not reject the suggestion to increase the importance of adaptation.
Prof. Edwin, maybe you want to jump in, Prof?
Yes, I think the climate crisis is damaging our modality to live. So people can stay in the 50 temperature Celsius above zero, and people can stay at 50 degree minus temperature below zero. I think people can survive on that. It's not the climate itself, but the modality to survive, it is become limited. The modality for the land use, for more food, for energy, and so on. By the changing of temperature, it is all becoming limited. So this is the problem with us. I think we need to survive in this matter, whether by adaptation or mitigation. So in the future, we will face a lot of problem with what happened with palm oil right now. We will face a fast trade barrier by some other country to us. I think if we don't tackle this problem of climate crisis, it will become even more. We now facing the European Union parliamentary resolution on palm oil. They don't like our palm oil because of they don't like our palm oil, not because of that, because of we burn the forest. That is our management of land use change. So again, our not our because we need palm oil. I think we have palm oil. We can do whatever with palm oil. But the thing with the climate change is affecting many countries. If we burn a forest in us, then many other countries will be affected. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Prof. Edwin, I think there is this next question is best answered by you from Rus Ebara GL from the University of Indonesia. Based on the current and likely trajectories, is some form of geoengineering necessary to buy time? What are the considerations to apply geoengineering, and what are the differences in the politics of geoengineering compared with the politics of emissions reductions? I think you've answered this on the platform, but I think maybe you can elaborate more a bit on what geoengineering is and what your thoughts are on it.
Yes, thank you. I think the many people, many scientists in IPCC, they don't like the geoengineering. They don't like because we don't see any foreseeable future. The longer on near term of the, if something we modify the Earth system, like we put iron in the ocean. Maybe in one area it will be good, useful, but in some other area it become harmful. So we don't know exactly the whole picture. So if China have or Russia might put a mirror in the space to let the agriculture work at the night time, so maybe it work for one place, maybe it not doesn't work for other time, other. So I think we don't see. We receive this system by God who designed this climate engineering, the system designed by God. So we want to intervene something we don't know what is the impact on the foreseeable future. So unless we know everything, and then let's go ahead with that. Thank you very much. If you're talking geoengineering, people always say about the volcanic eruption. So many people know that the Gunung Galunggung, Gunung Tambora, Gunung this Krakatoa has a lot of impact until other part of the world. So this what people think about geoengineering. If we can make something like that similar to volcanic eruption, we can make something very useful, because after the volcanic eruption, for example, Krakatoa, the world temperature going down. So if they say if we can make something like that similar, we can make geoengineering like that. But I don't think we don't know.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Edwin. The next question is from Hegar Egiara of the University of Indonesia. I think this might be addressed to Prof. Budi. Ecological conservation tends to be financed by big central government powers, which builds unsustainable reliance on faraway power and reduces decentralization efforts that increases social welfare in the long run. With that in mind, are there examples of efforts made by communities to achieve development without resorting to environmental exploitation or over-reliance from central government powers? This is a very FAOE question.
Yeah, so I think Indonesia is a kind of a bit late in actually boosting the use of solar panel. I mean, comparing, as I mentioned in slide, compared to India, the share of our electricity based on solar and wind is much smaller than India. So, well, there are some technical reason for that, something that I do not know, but that is the fact that we see. And also India has been able to lower the cost of its solar electricities, while Indonesia has not really been able to do so. Our wind in South Sulawesi is still cost, I think, about 10 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour. compared to the last India bidding for solar park, already 3 cents per kilowatt hour. So there are actually example on this community development in providing power supply that actually work in some other countries. So in an example in Australia, solar roof panel is booming. Almost everyone is actually putting solar panel at the moment. And so understanding more why this is not happening in Indonesia is important. There is an article that I and several friends trying to summarize the issues as some of the regulation need to be lifted, but also I guess the resistance of Ministry of Energy to move quickly toward solar panel is also an issue that we need to learn more. But answering the question is that yes, in other people, this movement is happening. Development of renewable energy based on community, but we yet to see that is happening in Indonesia.
All right. Thanks, probably Prof. Edwin. Maybe you want to add it? Yeah.
In addition, that you must understand that the energy for domestic in Indonesia is pretty much controlled by PLN. PLN is the sole monopolized agency for supplying the electricity for domestic use for people they need. So I think unless we give a little bit release in the law, and like for example in Germany, that the solar power and the roof, they can put into grid system. We already have this technology, but the regulation is still very much not like in that country. If we can make power by ourselves, every house, then the electricity become the bill become less. Something like that doesn't happen in Indonesia. So people interest on this technology maybe is not growing. So we must know that the monopoly for the energy for domestic sector is still by single company right now in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Edwin. We actually have so many more questions on our Q&A platform that's been asked by our attendees. Thank you very much for that. But unfortunately, we are out of time. I'd like to ask Prof. Edwin and Prof. Budi both each to give 1 minute final remarks or final closing statements, please.
Okay, thank you. I think when I come to Tasmania, it's a southern part of Australia. I was greeted by the Prime Minister of Tasmania. He said, he's a lady, a woman. She said that the problem of climate crisis is a problem not for us. This is a problem for generation to come, for our kids, for our grandchildren. If we make the earth is much more difficult to live by here, I think we owe to the next generation. I think we owe to our children. We owe to our grandchildren. I think we take something from, they must have the best comfortable living, but we may take something from them because of this climate crisis. So let's everyone think that if we make this not only for us, we make this for our children, for our grandchildren, we can make the earth as much as comfortable as we were born. not as much as worse than we are living the world. So this is my message, that is the climate change is the common but differentiated problem. Well, this is common for everyone, but the solution is very different for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Edwin. Prof. Budi?
Yeah, thank you very much. So based on my presentation, I think one of the most important message that I'm trying to convey is that if you look around globally, no environmental policy would be successful if it is not supported by the number one in a country. So you can see what happened in the US, you can see what happened in other countries. So it is important to have the number one person in the country to be environmental friendly, to put environment in her or his top priority policy. Without that, it will be very difficult for an environmental policy to make a progress. So we have to wait, and we just hope that the current president will, in a way, change his priority and put environment as one of his point in Nawacita, or in the next election. Remember that if you care about the environment, choose somebody that care about the environment as well, because without that, it is very difficult to implement environmental policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Budi. Thank you very much, Prof. Edwin. I think that brings us to the end of our discussion tonight. It has been really fruitful. I've learned so much, and I hope every one of you that has attended this event feels the same way. So I think give the floor back to the MC, Riano. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you, Ryasin. Okay, as a form of gratitude, the 18 Economics would like to give our token of appreciation for our notable speakers and moderator, presented by our Chief Executive Officer, Kevin Bagasatria.
Thank you, Riano, for the opportunity. Before handing our token of appreciation to the present speakers, I would like to thank Mr. Daniel Krieger for his very colorful presence in our discussion through his presentations and answers in the Q&A. Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Krieger. Now, I call upon our second speaker, Prof. Edwin Aldrian. Dear Prof. Edwin, on behalf of the committee and the attendees, I would like to thank you for giving such an insightful presentation, especially from the climate scientist perspective that most of us like about. Please receive our e-certificate as our token of appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, I call upon our third speaker, Prof. Budi Reso Sudarmo. Dear Prof. Budi, on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank you for the very insightful presentation regarding Indonesia's development surrounding the climate crisis. Please receive our e-certificate as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, Prof. Budi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lastly, I call upon Mr. Nathaniel Rayestu. Dear Mr. Nathaniel Rayestu, thank you for handling this webinar very smoothly in such an engaging manner. Please receive our e-certificate as a token of appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To commemorate this event, we will take a group picture. The picture will consist of all speakers, moderator, and our Chief Executive Officer. Please, all speakers and moderator, to turn your camera. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of today's seminar. We really hope that today's seminar will give you beneficial knowledge, resulting in new ideas to overcome the global economic challenges. Thank you to our guest speakers and participants of the 18 Economics International Dialogue. Not to forget, we would also like to thank Kumparan, Liputan 6, Merdeka.com, Info Seminar, Event Campus, and last but not least, Kontan, as our media partner. I'm Thomas Cesariano. On behalf of the 18 Economics, we would like to bid you farewell. Spirit.
Liputan6.com dan aplikasi Liputan 6 secara bersamaan. Semuanya ada di wajah baru aplikasi Liputan 6. Kamu bisa jadi orang yang paling cepat dapat informasi terbaru karena ada fitur latest. Nikmati cara baru baca berita di fitur Visual Stories. Bukan cuma tulisannya yang menarik, tapi banyak gambar kece yang bisa kamu lihat. Tampilan kece, update berita cepat. Download sekarang ya.